All right, I'm Jamie J. I'm CEO and founder of Bottleneck Distant Assistance, but that's not what we're here today. We're here for Live with Bottleneck. We're going to help you stop the bottleneck in your business. We're going to be back with our special guest, Brenda Batista-Mollohan, here in about 38 seconds. Yeah, I think it's about 38 seconds. We'll see you soon. Hello, we're live with Bottleneck. That's what's happening right now, where we help stop the bottleneck in your business. And I am super excited today to be talking with Brenda Batista-Mollohan. She's the founder and president of Inspiring Company Culture. And I love this title. Absolutely love this title, Culture Eats Strategy with Bottleneck Advisors. I absolutely am excited to speak with Brenda today. As you guys know, I'm a huge advocate of company culture, and it takes a special person to take that on. As Brenda and I were talking in the green room just prior to coming live, can't wait to share her story with you. And how can Brenda help you stop the bottleneck in your business? Well, let me tell you. Brenda Batista-Mollohan is the founder and Inspiring Company Culture, where she helps leaders transform their work environments to be places where everyone is heard, valued, and appreciated. Brenda is an expert in establishing high-performing teams, healthy company culture, leadership, business system analysis, and strategic planning. She's been doing this for the past 25 years, and she's focused on performance improvement and how the power of teams helps sustain business results. She helps teams engage and align with desired business outcomes by providing customized workshops, as well as group and leadership coaching, either as a standalone or as part of a consulting project. Brenda holds a Bachelor of Science in Industrial Systems Engineering, a Master's in Health Administration, and a Juris Doctorate. Wow. I'm excited. Please welcome, without any further ado, Brenda. How are you?
Great. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
I am so excited. And I'm not just saying that. I am a geek when it comes to learning about company culture, because you can always learn how to improve. But before we kind of have our conversation today, can you tell us a little bit more about you and about your background and maybe what you're up to?
Sure. I appreciate that. So first of all, I have to, give kudos to you about the name Bottleneck. Industrial system engineers, that's what we do. We find bottlenecks, we find inefficiencies, and we just go after them. It's like, how do we eliminate them? How do we make things more efficient, more, I'm going to say more better, which is inappropriate. But
that's all right. I hear you.
How do you make things better for your business and what you do? So I love that. And how I got into, because they're like, well, that's a process thing. How'd you get into culture? And it really actually stemmed from that. It stemmed from all the projects that I was working on with clients and noticing that we would come in and do projects and improve what was happening. And you get a result. And about 6 to 8 weeks after we'd leave as consultants, it'd fall apart. Like, what happened? It was great. We did what we were supposed to do. The actions were done, but the results weren't sustained. And it was that kind of aha, well, because when did we engage the team that was going to stay there, right? And often it's left to that transition time. If you look at traditional project plans, there's that knowledge transfer that gets shoved at the end for about a day, day and a half. And typically is a lot of paper shuffling, because like, here's everything you need. Here's all your documentation, but not really engaging the people. And sometimes it starts at the beginning, right? When we're setting up the project, like, yeah, we hired consultants because we don't have time to do it. So it's about that mindset that they didn't have time to really devote people to improving the process, improving what was happening. So that's how I got started from a client perspective. And I would say as a personal thing, I personally, living in corporate with a job, was experiencing not so much as I don't don't want to say toxic cultures, but unhealthy cultures. So
Mm.
cultures where we had a great team, we could achieve a lot, but we were somehow blocked from our capacity or capability. We just weren't able to move forward. And I was looking at why is that? What's not working? So as the lead of the team, I decided we're going to change what's happening and really focus on how do we get better and making things better for the team so that they wouldn't want to leave, and actually using some techniques about for professional development and team dynamics. I ended up with a team that had like zero turnover, voluntary turnover, right? There's involuntary, involuntary, zero turnover over a 2-year time period. When the teams around us were at about 20, 25%, so they're pretty high in their turnover. We actually got 20% more done on projects. So we were able to absorb more work, but everybody got their time off, right? Everybody took vacation. It was not hold everything until we get this done. It's like, no, you're going when it's your time. And then being for them, meaning, what do you want to achieve? So I'd always ask this question, not what do you want to be when you grow up, but what and beyond, what are your goals for the year? But what do you really want to work on? What makes you excited to come to work here? And if it's just a check, I need to know that, because we have to change things. It can't be about just getting paid. It has to be about something really do you feel passionate about, engaged in. So that's why I got into that and setting that straight for my team. And then I realized, this really goes beyond, my team. And oh, by the way, it connects to the clients because they're experiencing the same thing. And that's how I got into performance improvement is limited if you don't engage the team. And so how do you do that? How do you create that healthy culture that people, really feel engaged? They feel that they're heard and valued, and that you seek their involvement. Don't wait until they hand you the resignation papers to go, what happened? Why'd you all leave?
Yeah,
it's the wrong time to ask. Right?
Yeah. I love the fact that you bring up having a voice. I think that's a really great place to start this conversation, because I think if you don't empower the staff, if they don't feel valued within an organization, they are there for just a check. And I did some research that came out recently. When you post an ad for a job, the first thing they look at is, okay, do these qualifications? Can I do these qualifications? And the second thing they look at is, how much are they going to get paid? That's the first thing. A lot of people put these ads and build them together with, this is our vision, this is our philosophy, this is what we're all about. And people don't care about that yet.
Right.
If they find that they can do the job, and yes, this is a good salary or wage or whatever it is for them, the next thing they do is click on that button to go and do the research on the team. And that's the ultimate driver that I found, is that, wow, this looks like a really fun place to work. And I love this type of work. And then the wage goes way down from there. But it's just an early indicator. That's what I found. And I think that if companies can get out of their own way, in my opinion, meaning this is our vision, this is our mission, this is who we're all about, and kind of say, we want to hear what you say. In our own meetings here, everybody, leads a meeting. Each person on our team leads a meeting that week. And we found that's been really helpful and really inspiring. And one of the things that we do on our meeting agendas is we have our missteps. And people that have watched the show before will hear me say that it has been an eye-opener when someone says, you know what, I didn't do this. I said I was going to do this. I didn't do this. What I didn't expect to have happen was other people on the team reaching out or privately direct messaging them during our Zoom calls saying, how can I help you? What can I do? Or publicly, hey, what can I do? People that I wouldn't even think would help them out. It was been such an amazing thing to see that transition happen, because they made a mistake, they have the confidence to say, you know what, I made a mistake, and they're not going to get burned for it. People aren't going to laugh or, under their breath or things like that. And I think that's a huge contributing factor to why organizations fail with regards to what you call your positive culture.
Yeah, absolutely. So you actually brought up two phenomenal things there that tells me you have a very, very healthy culture. The culture that's supportive and that leaders are liberating. So I say that because we have to support each other and challenge each other. So a healthy culture is one in where you offer up, here's a challenge. This is the work we have to get done. Because people like that. They're like, yeah, I need it. I need something to climb up, and I need, to feel that I've accomplished something. But when we offer that without support, that's where the problems start and just snowball from there. Because if we don't support them, they feel the challenge and they feel like, you're setting me up. Are you setting me up for failure? Do you really just want to fire me, but you're afraid to tell me, right? Because you've set something up that they feel like they're out there. And then if the culture says, and if you screw up, you're gone, that's when people start to feel like, well, hey, maybe I shouldn't take on a challenge. Maybe I should wait for somebody else to tell me exactly what to do. So I do it right. So I do it towards the boss's expectation. And all that creates an unhealthy environment, because if I'm always waiting for the boss to make a decision, as the boss, you start to wonder, why do I have all these people? Well, as a boss, it's because you're setting it up that way, right? But what you describe is, as I said, a liberating leader, but it's everyone's a leader. And that's one thing that I do with my team. It's like, we are all leaders here. It's not by title. I would say, unfortunately, I hold the VP title, and that was unfortunately because there's a lot of unfortunate things that happened with that as a corporate. But you're all leaders, and you're all there for each other. And it's all about knowing I've got your back. This is your challenge today. And they felt comfortable sharing, oh, this is my struggle. What do you guys think? Or I tried this, it didn't work. Or, this person's being really difficult with me. Have you had the same experience? They felt comfortable doing that because they knew they were going to brainstorm. And they knew they were going to come out of that in a supportive way. And then I also support. I said, my job is, you tell me what obstacles you have, and I'll help clear the way. I'm not going to give you something that is impossible and say, well, you just failed. Done. Because that creates an unhealthy culture. And when you start to layer on other teams that see that you work really well, but then the corporates, you've got another team, it's like, well, what? You guys like each other. Yeah, we do. We're really for each other. We're like a family. An unrelated, I was joking. I call ourselves cousins. We're like Hawaiian cousins because everybody's a cousin, once you get working together. And that's how we were. That's how we had that way about us, and other people didn't understand. But that way also meant that we're for each other's growth. So how do we grow? Well, we had Brenda's book club. They kind of joked about that. It's like, that's like Oprah. I said, no, I wish. No. It's about learning. It's like, what do you guys want to study? What will make you go further in what you want to achieve? That's what we looked at. We looked at communication. We looked about relationships and how do you increase influence? How do you get better at that? And practice presentations, practice some basic things that they want to get better at, some tactical, some more strategic. But that was the blend. It's like, they were self-propelled, but in a direction that was tied to, so go back to the strategy part, tied to strategy though, because they were engaged. They saw how everything they did was tied to our mission as a team, and they wrote our mission. I said, our business unit, that doesn't really have a mission beyond make money. So we're going to make something for ourselves. What do we stand for? What do we want to be known as and for? What services do we provide? And they wrote it. We got together and I let them do that because that really got them engaged. And they felt that. And they're like, yeah, I know exactly how I achieve that every single day. And that goes a long way. And you don't see it as often because I guess people are afraid maybe a little bit about doing that.
Yeah.
But it also changes the way I hired. So I'm going to go back to that. Something you said about the job description, right? Corporate's like, we'll help you post the job. Great, fine. Okay, that's fine. I said, but I'm going to run my own hiring process. And they're like, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm going to give them a day in a life. Well, what do you mean? I'm literally going to give the work, a sample of work that we typically do. I say, this is what we do. Here, and in this case, we had to edit contracts. I need you to look at this contract, edit it, because it's not written very well. You've got to get it very concise and precise, because we're going to convert it into a proposal. And that's the type of work you'll be doing. And oh, by the way, make a presentation. You're going to give a presentation to us. We'll be the peanuts. We'll be the gallery. Role play with you. This is what you do, because then you're going to, part of your job is to guide people how to present. This is what you will do in your job. And that's part of the hiring process. Not just the skill set, but I want you to see what you can do with it. I want you then to come back and ask us questions. We'll stop our role play and see what questions you have for us. And oh, by the way, did you enjoy that experience or did you hate it? And I'm personally okay either way. Because if you hated it, I'm going to tell you now, this is not the job for you, because this is what we do a lot of. And if it was not a fun experience, you should know that now. But yeah, I think you have a great skill set, but this is how we apply that skill set, right? So that's part of it. And then the second part of what you said about your research, I find that people make the same mistake over and over again when they're leaving, because the tangible part is, it's easy for me to tell, if you're my boss, for me to tell you I'm leaving because they're paying me more. It's really a cop-out, right? It's the easy thing to say instead of saying, I hated it here, you were the worst boss ever, or the team was just so mean, or I couldn't grow here, because that's a tougher conversation. By the way, as the boss, I should have asked you that 3-4 quarters ago. Not ask you why you're going out the door. It's the wrong time, because you can't do anything about it. And they're going to tell you it's something like money, because it's easy. Anyway, so I had to comment on your research findings.
Well, I think you just nailed it too. One of the other things that I think is kind of unique here is, yes, we will post a general overview and we have people perform tasks. I think that's a great idea, great concept to figure out whether or not they're even going to like this. But we take it a step further. And on their first anniversary, we have them draft their own role and responsibilities.
Oh, that's good.
And what we found is that if we can find somebody, and thanks to David Schreiner-Kahn for sharing this little nugget with me that I just totally love, if you hire somebody and they can perform 75% of the tasks that you want to delegate to them, that in my opinion now is awesome. And that extra 25%, I cannot wait to see what they do to surprise me. And it's amazing, because where you think you needed somebody to fit in this little square or circle, maybe, yes, you need somebody for 75% of that, but there may be another 25% of expertise over here that you didn't even think about that's going to totally raise the bar. And we found that to be a tremendous asset. And again, it's empowering to write your own job role and responsibilities, right? We don't call them job descriptions. We call them a role with responsibilities. And that can change from year to year as our business grows. And as a systems, as a strategy person, you probably understand better than most that as a company grows, there's new friction points that get identified along the way. And you're like, okay, what do we need to go here? What do we need to do here? And companies change, right? They change the way they operate. New things come in, new technologies come in, new personalities come in. And boy, how do you manage that? Well, you empower the team to embrace it all. And we want to achieve this collective aspiration of a vision together, not independently. And I think by doing things like that, it really helps. So I guess that was more of a statement than a question. So my question to you is, how do you deal with growth and maybe changing the assignments so that everyone still, they understand how important strategy is, but again, culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? So how do you deal with changing environments or possibly changing roles or responsibilities within those roles?
Yeah. So it's a great question, because as you were saying that, I was mentally comparing corporate to entrepreneur, right? Small business owner, because we're changing so fast. And corporate, you have boundaries and certain things you have to follow. But what I would say is this applies no matter where you are, whether you're a team lead, whether you're a business owner, large business, small business, whatever. And that's really focus on the leadership ability and voice that the people show up with. So you hire them for skill set, because my need right now might be for, especially, smaller business, like typically first hire is a virtual assistant, right? So they want that person. They're hiring for a skill set. I need them to do the following tasks, and you kind of write that out. Not much thought given beyond that about how they're going to be part of your culture or not. But I would say look at the leadership voice. In other words, what are they bringing beyond that you haven't tapped them for? And keep an eye on that, of how you want to, how you would like them to grow with your company, but also how they see themselves growing with the company. So I kind of lump this into your professional development plan or planning. It's probably oversimplifying it from that standpoint, but it's a concept people know. And that is not just your goal, but your +1 or your +2. So you have to perform the skills, right? I've got milestones for you to do. But the +1 or the +2 is, what do you want to do? How do you want to grow? And that tells me aspiration. Now, the leadership voice, there's a construct that I use, that there are really 5 leadership voices. So I want to build a team where I have all 5 represented. It doesn't mean I have to have 5 people. It's just we use these voices depending on the situation. And they all have attributes. They're either good, or when we're stressed, the really bad ones come out. And the people that kind of snap at you are like, wait, what just happened? Right. Yeah. You get that reaction. But they all have benefits to them. And I say that I learned, this was my biggest mistake, is one of those is a voice called a connector. And this is a person who has a resource, whether it's we were talking about technology resources before, but they know somebody who knows somebody. Mm-hmm. They're like a living Rolodex, and that they love to connect people. And because, you had that problem? Oh my gosh, my friend, blah, blah, blah. They always know somebody, and it's always their friend, which is fantastic. I didn't have that personality type, that leadership type on my team. And why that was a problem is because what they're fantastic at is evangelizing about the team's mission and vision. They will go and tell people the great work you're doing, even if they're not part of it, just because they love to share that I know a resource is fantastic about, and fill in the blank. And you need that voice, especially in a corporate setting, when the rest of the culture is not as healthy. You need them evangelizing about how wonderful you guys are, not to give you a pat on the back, but just so people see your value.
Right.
And they really can share that really, really well. What I did have overabundance of were guardians. And those are the people that guard your resources. They ask a lot of questions. They want to make sure that we're doing the right things for the right reasons. And you need those. And so I had an overabundance of those. And in our functional team, that's what our function was. We were doing risk assessment. So you better, focus in on that. And then a quieter voice is a nurturing person. They just want to make sure everybody's okay. Are we all okay with the director?
What did you call them?
Nurturer. Nurturer. And they're just checking and say, okay, the direction or some announcement was just made. They want to make sure, is everybody okay with that? Are we all feeling decent about it? That's their role. Their role is that thermometer. It's like, oh, people are just not happy. They're not going to be happy. This is not going to be good. And the next is a creative, and they're a strategic person, a little bit quieter. So they're going to be the person who's going to sit in the meeting and go, I see. They're just absorbing everything. And you literally have to ask them, so what you think? Because if you don't, they'll never tell you. So it's part of because what they're doing is they're running plays in their mind, like, okay, yeah, we can do that. Ooh, yeah.
That would be tough.
Right, they're running all the plays. They run out and they see the vision and they run back because they found all the pitfalls along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Communication has continued on and they're still back here going, calculating. Yeah, that'll work, but, and by the time they join the conversations moved on. People are like, what? Are you like lost over there? Are you not paying attention?
That was like so 5 minutes ago.
Right, exactly. That's the response. And then people are like, that was disjoint. We don't understand what. But they're important to have on the team because they're doing that. They're scouting ideas for you. They're running them back. And then the loudest voice, and this is one you find in corporate a lot because these are pioneer voices, meaning they're loud and in charge. Their opinion is the one that gets heard and the one that matters. And I've decided, therefore we're going. And oh, by the way, the meeting is just to tell you I've decided. And this is typically where culture falls apart because you see those people in charge. The great thing about them is they get results. That's the reason they're in their positions. The bad thing about them often is they don't listen to anybody else's opinion.
It's or their way or the highway.
Exactly. And that's where culture starts to fall apart and creates those, when we were talking about before, liberating, being for you, supporting you, challenging you, but supporting you. They're not so much on the support. They're all about the challenge. Because their opinion is, if you're on my team, you better figure it out or you're not on my team. So support, I hired you because you're competent. Therefore, that's all the support you need is your own competence, which we know is not true, right? We need that team. We just need to vent sometimes, because that's a form of support. That somebody else, that I am not losing my mind here trying to figure this out, or this what has happened to me is not unique, or I'm not, suffering from some sort of imposter syndrome. Oh my gosh, somebody's going to find me out. No, other people have that too. But when you have a pioneer in charge, that's often seen as a weakness, and maybe they won't take that on. So you need all 5 voices to listen to each other. And that's the key, is figuring out when you hire somebody what their leadership voice and tendency is, so you can create that balance on your team.
That's interesting. Yeah, and isn't it so hard? I think a lot of people rush to hire so quickly to fill a pain that is happening without really, really going into it. And for me, I say, hey, fill that pain until you're ready. Like, so many people come to us and say, I just want to hire a rock star. Find me a rock star. And I want to be nice and, obviously understand their pain and all of that. Right. But I also tell them, you need to slow down. Whoa, you need to slow down. And, I rumble off some statistics about hiring and unfortunately firing and churn rate and things like that to try and hopefully help them to understand how important it is to really prepare to hire people. I've hired over 1,000 people. I've learned a little bit in 15 years. And one of the biggest things I've learned is not being able to ask the right questions so that I didn't even know there was 5 voices, right? And this is really good to understand who it is you're hiring. One of the big things we do as well is we tell everybody, hey, make your own decision. If you make a decision and it fails, it's not going to bankrupt the company. Let's just figure out where we went wrong. Let's address it and adjust that, process or whatever it is. Right. And they all know that if they make a decision, they make it based on our core values, which are 4 core values that we have. But they say, is it good for the company? Is it good for our team? And then and only then is it good for the client, because the company doesn't do well and we're not taking care of them financially, culturally, all of that. How in the world can I expect them to take care of the clients?
Right.
So what kind of leniency do you offer decision-making, or what is your process for the decision-making process within your organizations or your clients? Yeah,
and that it's a reflection of the leader and their comfort level, right? So I'm going to say from my own perspective, I go back to the support challenge. And in order to support you, I have to open up decision making as free as you feel comfortable. Now, the limits are if you're getting us into a contracting situation or something that puts the business on the line for something, we need to talk about that based off of your experience of doing something like that in the past. So if I'm working with somebody, I had various levels of folks that were reporting to me. The young man who was just out of school, he never asked for that type of decision ability, right? Yeah. But he did step up and say, "Hey, can I run a project?" Yes. The answer is yes. Oh, that was easy. Right. Okay. So now what do you got to go through all the steps. And when it came to, but I'm now playing as a manager, I'm project managing outside of my licensure. In other words, I'm playing up, right? I'm playing to the team up because they're director people. I said, yes, I know. First, you asked. So congratulations, you have it. But then he's like, but what if I make the wrong decision? So who's saying it's wrong? Well, they're disagreeing with me because you're challenging them and they're pushing back because of your youth and your inexperience. But I'm here for you. And if you feel it gets too much, I will come and help you. But you have to tell me, what would you like to try or what have you tried? So show me that you're solutioning first, and then let's talk about it. And oh, by the way, I will come in and I'm your silent, person there to back you up. I come into the meeting silently and I'm listening for, are they doing the same thing? Sometimes it eliminates the problem. Sometimes it doesn't, right? And it depends on the culture, because obviously that's a culture hierarchy. They responded to quiet authority. Oh, she's here. Yeah, I'm here. I'm here because I just want to see how things are going, right? You hear that a lot. I just want to see what's up. He knew why I was there. Now, on the other hand, with people who are more experienced, yeah, I had somebody say, well, I want to know what it takes to become a VP. Okay, well, then I'm going to show you, and I'm totally transparent, unless I signed an NDA that said I cannot, and I had a couple of instances like that. But otherwise, I'm going to show you everything. Here, you have to make these decisions. Here's the budget. You have to make budget decisions. Oh, yeah, but it's okay. I mean, what would you do? Let's role play it. Now that helps me because I'm getting their kind of opinion if something works or not works, how people are going to respond to it. But I open it up and say it's okay if it doesn't work out, because we're going to focus on how quickly we recover from that situation. And you're not going to lose your job for it. And I had to go to bat for somebody twice, because other teams thought that they were outside and they should be fired for that. They made a mistake. And oh, by the way, they weren't the only, this was not a solo project. There was a team of 10 people. And if we look at everybody's role, everybody had a little part to play in the failure. So let's talk about how we fix the process. Let's not just, point fingers and say that if they weren't here, that wouldn't have happened. No, let's play it the other way. If they weren't here, y'all wouldn't have been organized. You wouldn't have had all this stuff together. You wouldn't have turned things in on time, right? So yeah, let's look at perspective here.
Oh, I love that. And see, I like it too, because you're supporting somebody with their aspirations as opposed to, turning them down. And I worked in corporate America in Vegas. You're at 12 years. I worked in corporate America. It took me about 11 years to figure out how to leave corporate America. I am proudly unemployable, but that's just me, right? And corporate America could be really good for somebody. That's what gets them going. Good. I'm all for that.
Yep.
It wasn't who I was. And it wasn't until I went out on my own till I really found out what I was really doing. And I did learn quite a bit in corporate America on what I didn't want. Now, this was my personal experience. I'm not speaking to anybody else's, but my personal experience is when you get the bigwigs coming to visit you and you get handed a piece of paper with a mission statement on it saying that you need to memorize this, and don't ask any questions, but if they ask you, be prepared to answer what the mission is. This was the first time, and I had been there a while already. This is the first time I'm learning about this stuff. And it wasn't the mission statement that was written on the, the marquee or whatever. It was different. I'd never seen it before. And I just thought there's something wrong with that. And that is basically telling you to be quiet, sit there and just take it, and don't offer any ideas or suggestions. Someone's probably already said that. This is how I was feeling. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to do that. And because of that experience, it flipped my everything to, I never want to be like that. And I never want to have anybody in our organization like that. I don't want our clients to be like that.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe pushed me as to why I really love figuring out and continuing to learn about what we can do to continue to improve our culture before anything else. Strategy is important. You got to make the money. You have to. You got to pay people. We got to pay rent. We got to do all that. But why not have fun doing it?
I absolutely agree. And I think a lot of people have the stories, but yet stay in corporate, right? So there's something about the structure. There's something about it feels less risky. Yeah, well, if you've been a few rounds, lately, it's as risky as anything else, right? A job is not stability. The job is not the golden watch as it used to be. It's the loyalty. I just stay here, pay my dues, and wait until I retire. And I hear that from older generations, like, personal opinion, what a horrible way to live. You wait until I retire to live. What if I don't make it, first of all? But it's like, oh my gosh, it's just this structure, and for some people need that, and so I get it. One of my dear friends loves the structure, loves I want to say monotony, because there's a certain predictability about it. Loves predictability of, I'm going to do this, and this. Schedule looks like that every day. Boom, 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 boom. Just because they could just fire right through it, and they like that. I like structure. But I also like knowing where your boundaries are and where you can kind of ride up against the boundary and say, oh, well, because that's how I'm going to grow. And I think we all owe it to each other and to ourselves to grow. And that's the reason I really push with clients, regardless of what the project is, that are we hearing everybody? Did we ask everybody? And are we listening to what they're asking for, what their input is? Because back to those 5 voices, it's a way of knowing how to ask them and how to engage them. And I would suggest to people, you learn how to engage each one, because you are missing out on intelligence there that's going to walk, and you'll never know why. And you'll never become what you could have been because you didn't listen. And then as we play that out for different classes of people, so put it that way, because as a woman in a leadership position, there are certain things that are, the bumper you back in, and you're like, wait, how come he can do that, but I can't? Right? Because there's different constructs. As a minority woman, the same sort of thing. It's like, oh, okay, well, gosh, I have to be able to do X, Y, and Z, whereas somebody else only had to do X and Y. Like, why is that? Well, because you're sometimes presumed incompetent. Like, wait, what? Yeah, I graduated the same. Yeah, right, exactly. But that's why it's so important to listen to everybody, engage everybody, and actually seek out that diversity and inclusion at all levels, right? By age, by race, by gender, just everything, all the mixture, because the
ego is the enemy, right? You got to get rid of that.
Yeah.
I can't tell you all the great ideas I've heard from. No idea that this person would have come up with that idea, and fantastic idea. We changed our process because of an idea that was suggested by my assistant. We changed the process because of an idea that was suggested by our business development manager. Like, they come from everywhere, and they're brilliant.
Yep.
Do I accept all of them? No, but I listen to them all. And I'm very enthusiastic because I'm like, this is that 25% coming through. Like, what are they going to do to blow this thing out of the water? And I could only imagine, but for me, if one of my bosses at that time would have accepted an idea that I came up with, I would have been elated. Like, I came up with that idea. I'm very proud that I came up with that idea, and they accepted it. Yeah. That happened one time that I can remember. One time. And it was fun, but the next idea I came up with, nope, different. We had a different boss then and all that kind of stuff. But that's what it is. It's all about being creative, and it's all about having fun, and it's all about doing it all together.
Yeah, exactly. And making it that it's okay to fail, that failure is part of what should be happening, because you're not taking any risk and you're not growing if you're not failing. It's all about the recovery. And oh, by the way, we're human, we make mistakes. So you're not going to get fired for it. You're not,
Yeah.
As long as it's legal, as long as you're not doing anything illegal, there's no reason to be fired. It's a learning point. Now, if you keep doing it 50 times in a row, well, we need to talk about how you're learning.
Yeah.
That's different.
Well, and you're right. And I now am so well aware of this. If I am getting comfortable, I need to change something up. If I'm uncomfortable, I'm actually comfortable in a weird way.
Yeah. It's hard to get used to. It's hard to get used to, right? The first time you realized it, I bet it was weird. Like, wait, that's weird.
Yeah.
It is, because when you get comfortable, you're like, yeah, this is good. Life is good. I like what I'm earning. I like the people I'm working with. And everything feels, it's like you're in the groove, right? And then we even have ways of describing it. I'm in the groove. Things are going great. Mm-hmm. Well, you need to send a wave to see if you find another groove, because you don't know yet that maybe this is your performance level. There's another one you can be even higher than that if you want to go there. Now, if you're happy, like my friend is just happy with the regular, just give me structure, give me schedule, I'm done, I'm good. That's fine. Realize that, acknowledging this, I'm fine to ride here for the rest. The rest of my time, good. But if you're not, you have to ask yourself, how do I disrupt it? The problem when you do say that and you say it out loud for the first time, everybody who's tied to your normal consistency is going to have a moment, right? Depending on how they're related to you, they're like, oh man, the business is going to go under. Your family, like, we have to move, sell the house. What are we doing? Everybody has this, because you're challenging it's the ripple effect, right? You're affecting their comfort level now. And then that's when you start getting the sometimes not as positive as you'd like feedback. Why are you doing that? Things are fine. Why are you changing it? Don't mess with it. It's not broken. And
it's broken, don't fix it. Oh,
yeah.
Well, I for one am proud to subscribe to the positive ripple effect of leading with kindness. We absolutely love that. As a matter of fact, that's my word of the year is kindness. Every year I come up with a word of the year, and I break that down into an acronym. And it's kindness illuminates natural decency by creating neoteric energy with selfless statements. And so we put it on our website. The team knows about it. We've had words in the past like listen intentfully and soulfully to engage notably. And just focus, finding opportunities by creating uninterrupted strategy sessions. So we always try to look for words that everybody we share. Mm-hmm. And that's our goal for the year. Our goal for this year is leading with kindness. And doggone if it just doesn't flow through the veins of everyone in the company. And we just, I feel so blessed and so fortunate to be working with this team, and by extension, be talking with you about this, because culture is everything to me. And I really wish more people embrace culture and put more value on culture than the bottom line, than strategy, than everything else that comes along with it. I think it needs to start with culture, and I'm so thankful for you sharing your time and your experience.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that. And for people that get the emotion of how culture feels better, what we've been talking about makes absolute sense. Like, yeah, I got it. I know I've felt that and I lost it, or I have it, right? Because when you had it and you lose it and you're like, oh, how do I get that back?
Yeah.
You wonder, how do I get it back? How do I find that? How do I create it? And I think the easiest way, because somebody asked me that, like, how as an individual contributor, do I create the culture? They said, if you don't have a team, role model what you would like to see. And it's infectious and contagious in a great way. People will gravitate to it because they're like, what? You're weird in a good way. And I want to know how, right? They want to become part of that. So I say it becomes a magnet for that. And then you create a team by association, guilt by association in a good way.
I love it.
Yeah. And for people who like numbers, they do have numbers. So that if you let the average team, a team of like 5 people, they're operating about 58% of their capability or capacity without some sort of intervention on culture. Okay. Now, what that cost you, a 5-person team can cost you on average $200,000 a year because of that loss of capacity. You're not unlocking it. And most small businesses can't afford the $200,000. So it's like, how do I fix that? How do I regain that? And that's the reason I say you got to do something with culture.
Well, no large company. If you look at it, how many people in a company of 5-person teams, 200 times 200 times 200.
Exactly.
It adds up.
You do the math all the way out. It gets very, very expensive. And then you add into that, as you mentioned, you kind of acknowledged earlier, the turnover cost to rehire somebody, depending on level. It ranges what you get back. But one of the higher numbers I heard is like 35,000, and that's kind of mid range for one person.
I've heard it could be up to 9 months' salary.
Yeah,
I read that in I think it was a Gardner article or something like that I read about on it. The average cost to hire somebody is $4,129. The average cost to let someone go is up to 9 months' salary.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Yep.
Yeah. So
that's why hire well, hire to fit the culture, because you can always skill them up when you find the right culture fit, and they stay.
And that 75-25 rule, I love that rule. I wish more people would embrace it. I think people are setting the bars too high when they don't even know what that bar could be. Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
I love it. Well, is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap today?
Well, that I've enjoyed this discussion. It's been fantastic as I've gotten to share, little nuggets here and there about techniques and tools. But certainly the more important part is that I think I agree with you that people don't talk about culture enough and its impact, because they have a hard time tying it to an ROI, right? I've got to get numbers behind it. I got to have my numbers. I would say just trust. First of all, I can get you the numbers if you really, really need it, but the trust that it happens, the numbers come, the numbers flow, everything becomes easier when we're all playing on the same team and together, when we all know what the plays are, when we're communicating really well. We have great relationships because we trust each other as a team and we're all going the same direction, which is that alignment. Then we execute fantastically and we unlock that potential to grow. You just never know where you're going to go. And you owe it to your team, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your business to make that happen. So thank you for the opportunity to talk about this, because I think we don't talk about it enough. I agree with you. So thanks so much.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm not a big football fan, but I happen to watch, because I live in Missouri, I happen to watch the Kansas City Chiefs, not in the Super Bowl, but in the game just before that. One of the guys fumbled or did something and the other team scored, and he came down and he was just a towel over his head, and the quarterback came over to him and you see him take the towel off. He's like, stand up, get up. We're going to do this. It's okay, man. We all make mistakes. The next possession they had, who do you think he gave the ball to? He gave it to that guy and he got a touchdown. I mean, things, that's culture to me. when people are down, other people on the team are going to come pick you up. And I love sports analogies and things like that, but we can really use those analogies in business today. So thank you again for keeping this top of mind. Hopefully more people will embrace culture, as I think it's kind of getting there a little bit more. But I really think more people need to embrace it. So how do people get in touch with you if they want to learn more?
Yeah, so if they want to engage in continued conversations, you can just email me directly, Brenda at inspiringcompanyculture.com, and I will, get back to them. I do have my website, of course, is inspiringcompanyculture.com, so I just try to keep it simple. Either one of those, or you can look me up on LinkedIn. It's Brenda Batista-Mollohan on LinkedIn. I do check that regularly. I check all those on a regular basis, and kind of seeing who's interested in talking, because it's so important, and it's the key to success as a person, as an individual, and as a team. So I've come to realize it's my mission, my ministry, I guess, is to share that, be kind to each other, but be for each other, and help each other achieve what you want. Yeah.
I love that, Brenda. Well, thank you again. Like I said, we've been talking for about 50 minutes. I had no idea. Yeah. And I want to respect your time, so we'll go ahead and wrap up now. And thank you again for sharing your wisdom. Would you mind holding on just for a little bit while I roll up here?
Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
So we've been talking to Brenda Batista-Mollohan. I cannot recommend enough. Go check it out today, inspiringcompanyculture.com. Brenda is the president of, she's founder and president of Inspired Company Culture. You can email her if you want to learn more, Brenda at inspiringcompanyculture.com. She's on LinkedIn. She checks it all the time. And I put that up here on the screen. So at Brenda Batista-Mollohan. Again, she is the founder and president of Inspiring Company Culture and can help you stop the bottleneck in your business. Definitely. As you know, big fans of company culture. I hope you are too. Embrace that. Be kind to one another. And then a couple house cleaning tips here. I believe. Oh, yes. This is the big thing. My sister company, Bottleneck Medical, is now HIPAA compliant, fully HIPAA compliant with regards to the new remote-based HIPAA compliancy laws that we've seen because of COVID. So pretty happy with that. You can check out this and all of our other hundreds of videos on our new YouTube channel. It's bottleneck.online/TV. That's live with Bottleneck. So we hope you go check that out. Subscribe and hit the little bell icon. So every time a new one comes out, in about 5 seconds, a new one will be coming out here and posting right there on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook and all that good stuff. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, create your own ripple. I hope you have a fantastic day, and we'll talk to you soon.